The rain was heavy that night. Thick drops fell like small stones from the dark sky. The roads were wet and slippery. The city was quiet. Only a few cars moved slowly, their headlights cutting through the fog. Inside one shining, black luxury car, Saif sat alone. He was a rich businessman. His suit was expensive, his watch shining under the car's soft lights. But his face was tired and cold. His eyes were red. He was fighting hard to stay awake. Saif was returning home from a big business party. On his phone, he argued with someone. His voice was low but angry. "Listen, I don't care what you say. This deal will happen. I don't want to hear excuses," he said sharply. He took a deep breath and looked outside. The road was dark and empty. Saif's car moved faster. The rain made everything harder to see. The street lights were few and far between. He passed an old broken bus stop on the side of the road. Under the bus stop, two girls huddled close together. They were cold and wet. They wore torn clothes and looked scared. Their names were Ronnie and Zoya. They were street girls, used to hard life and cold nights. They watched the shiny car pass by. Neither of them said a word. The rain kept falling on their thin jackets. Suddenly, the car's tires slipped on the wet road. Saif's hands tightened on the steering wheel. The car spun out of control. The bright headlights flashed wildly. Saif tried to stop the car, but the sharp turn was too dangerous. The car crashed through the metal guardrail and slid down a small hill. It hit a tree hard, shaking the whole car. Inside the car, Saif was knocked unconscious. The rain kept falling, hiding the crash from the few drivers passing by. One by one, cars drove past the broken road. No one stopped to help, but Ronnie and Zoya saw everything. They looked at the broken car lying in the dark woods. They knew they had to do something. Even though they were scared, they ran toward the crash. Zoya was the younger one. She held Ronnie's hand tightly as they reached the car. Ronnie looked inside. Saif's head was bleeding, and he was still not awake. "Is he alive?" Zoya whispered, afraid. Ronnie didn't answer. She looked around quickly, hoping no one would see them. The road was empty and quiet except for the rain. Ronnie searched in her small bag and found a torn piece of cloth. She wrapped it gently around Saif's bleeding head. "We have to pull him out," Ronnie said. Zoya nodded. Together they pushed the heavy car door open with all their strength. The door made a loud sound in the silent night. Slowly, they pulled Saif out of the wreck. His body was heavy and cold. They placed him on the wet grass under the broken bus stop where they had been hiding. Ronnie took off her thin jacket and covered Saif. Zoya found some dry leaves and tried to keep him warm. The girls were shaking, not just from the cold, but from fear. They had never helped anyone like this before. Ronnie looked at Saif's face. It was pale, but his chest was moving. He was still breathing. Zoya wiped the rain from her eyes and said softly, "We saved him." But they knew this was only the beginning. Suddenly, far away, a car passed on the road again. Ronnie looked around. No one stopped. No one helped. "We can't stay here," Ronnie whispered. "He needs a doctor." Zoya nodded. "But where? We have no money, no phone." Ronnie thought for a moment and said, "We will do what we can. Together." They sat close to Saif, holding his hand, hoping he would wake up soon. Hours passed like this. The rain slowed to a light drizzle. At last, Saif's eyes opened slowly. The first thing he saw was two dark eyes staring at him. The eyes were full of worry and kindness. Saif tried to speak, but his throat was dry and weak. "Who are you?" he asked softly. Ronnie and Zoya looked at each other. For a moment, they didn't know what to say. Ronnie finally answered, "We are your helpers." Saif tried to move, but pain ran through his body. He looked around. The bus stop was broken, the rain stopped, and the sky was turning gray. He felt confused. How did he get here? Why were these two girls with him? Saif's mind raced. He was a rich man, used to power and control, but now he was helpless, a stranger in the dark. The girls stayed silent, but didn't move away. Saif whispered, "Thank you for saving me." Ronnie smiled weakly. Everyone needs help sometimes. Zoya held Saif's hand tightly. You will be okay. The sun began to rise behind the trees. The wet world slowly woke up. Saif looked at the two girls again. They were strange, new, and full of secrets. He knew his life had just changed forever. Saif slowly opened his eyes again, but this time, the world looked different. He was no longer in his car or near the broken bus stop. He was in a small, dark room. The air smelled old and dusty. The walls had cracks and the floor was cold stone. He tried to move, but pain stopped him. His body ached all over. The bright city lights and soft music from the party were far away now. Two faces looked down at him. One was a young girl, maybe 16, with tired eyes but a strong look. She was careful and quiet. The other was smaller, about 10 years old, shy but curious. They watched him closely. Saif's voice was weak. Where am I? Ronnie, the older girl, smiled a little. You are safe here, she said softly. Saif tried to sit up, but Zoya, the little girl, gently held his arm. Please don't move too fast, she said kindly. Saif looked at their clothes, old and dirty. The room was bare, with only a thin blanket and a small candle flickering on the table. He swallowed hard. Who are you? Why did you bring me here? Ronnie's eyes looked away for a moment. We are street girls, we live here. Saif frowned. Street girls, what does that mean? Zoya spoke softly. We have no home, no family. Saif's heart beat faster. This was a world he never saw, a world where children lived in dark rooms like this, hiding from cold and fear. Why did you help me? Saif asked, still confused. Ronnie looked at Zoya and then back at Saif. Because we could not leave you there. You needed help. Saif closed his eyes and thought about his life. He was a rich man with everything, money, cars, power. But now, lying here with two strangers who had nothing, he felt something new. Hope. He tried to stand, but pain stopped him. I need to go home, he said firmly. Ronnie shook her head. Not yet. You are hurt. Zoya brought him some water. In a small cup. Saif drank slowly, watching them carefully. He wanted answers. How did you find me? Why were you at the bus stop? Ronnie took a deep breath. We live near the bus stop. It's our place to stay dry when it rains, Zoya added. We saw your car slip and crash. We were scared, but we came to help. Saif looked at them with new respect. They were scared but brave. He tried to smile, but the pain was too much. Thank you. Ronnie and Zoya smiled back, but there was sadness too. Saif could see it in their eyes. Do you have a family? Saif asked gently. Zoya's eyes filled with tears. No. We lost them a long time ago. Ronnie looked down, quiet. Saif felt a strange sadness. His problems, his arguments and fights seemed small compared to their pain. He lay back and closed his eyes, thinking hard. What was he going to do next? Could he trust these two girls? Suddenly, he heard a noise outside the room, footsteps and shouting. Ronnie quickly moved to the door, listening. Someone is coming, she whispered. Zoya grabbed Saif's hand. Hide. Saif felt a sudden rush of fear. He was a rich man, used to control, but now he was helpless and scared. The door opened a little, and a man's voice called out, Ronnie! Zoya, where are you? Ronnie stepped back and said firmly, No one is here. The voice didn't answer. The footsteps moved away. Saif looked at the girls. Who was that? Ronnie's eyes darkened. Someone we do not want to meet. Saif sat up slowly, his curiosity growing. Tell me more. Ronnie hesitated but then spoke. We have to be careful. Some people want to take us away. They are not kind. Saif felt his heart beat faster. He realized these girls had a dangerous past, a past that was connected to him. But he did not understand how yet. The room became quiet again. The candle flickered, casting shadows on the walls. Saif looked at Ronnie and Zoya and whispered, I will help you. I promise. Ronnie looked surprised but hopeful. Zoya smiled for the first time in days. Outside, the rain stopped. The sun was rising. Saif knew this was only the beginning of a long journey, a journey that would change all their lives. The morning. Light shone weakly through the small window of the dark room. Saif was still weak, but his mind was clearer now. He was no longer just a rich man hurt in an accident. He was someone who owed his life to two young girls, Rani and Zoya. Saif sat up slowly, feeling pain in his ribs. Rani and Zoya were sitting close by, watching him quietly. "I want to help you," Saif said softly. "You saved my life." Rani looked down, her eyes avoiding his. "We don't want your pity," she said quietly. Saif frowned. "I'm not giving pity. I want to help. You don't have to live like this." Zoya looked hopeful. "Really? You will help us?" Saif nodded. "Yes, when I get better, I will take you both with me. You will have a home, food, school, everything." Rani's face changed. She looked surprised but also scared. "A home," she whispered. "Yes," Saif said. "You deserve better life." Rani shook her head. "It's not so simple." Saif waited. He wanted her to explain. Rani took a deep breath. "We have to be careful. Not everyone wants to help us." Saif frowned. "Why?" Rani looked out the small window, eyes dark. "Because of people who control us. They make deals. Bad deals." Saif did not understand. "Deals? What kind of deals?" Zoya spoke softly. "Sometimes bad men take kids like us away. They sell us. We escaped once." Saif's heart tightened. The rich, safe world he lived in suddenly seemed far away. "Where did you escape from?" he asked. Rani's voice was low, almost a whisper. "An orphanage, but it was more like a prison." Saif sat back, shocked. He had heard stories but never believed them. "I promise," Saif said firmly. "I will protect you. No one will hurt you anymore." Rani's eyes met his. For the first time, she trusted him a little. "But," Saif added, "I need you to trust me too." Rani nodded slowly. Zoya smiled. "We want to believe you." The room felt warmer, even though it was small and bare. Days passed. Saif's strength grew. He started to see the world through the girl's eyes. He realized money could not fix everything. One night, Saif followed Rani quietly. She slipped out of the room, hood over her head, and moved fast through the dark streets. Saif watched as she stopped near a small market stall. She looked around nervously and then quickly took a small bag of bread. Saif's heart ached. She was stealing because she was afraid and hungry. The next day, he confronted her gently. "Why did you do that?" Rani looked away, ashamed. "I had no choice." Saif nodded. "We will find another way. You don't have to steal." Rani's eyes were full of pain. It's not just hunger, it's fear. Saif understood then that helping them would be harder than he thought. But he was ready. He made a promise to himself. No matter what, he would keep them safe. After days in the small, dark room, Saif knew he had to act. He could not stay there forever. The pain was healing, but the fear in Rani and Zoya's eyes stayed. "I have a house," Saif said one morning. "A safe place. You can live there. No one will hurt you." Rani looked surprised. "Your house? Why would you let us live there?" Saif smiled weakly. "Because you saved my life, and now I want to save yours." Zoya's eyes brightened. "A real home?" "Yes," Saif nodded. "A real home." But Rani was quiet. Saif saw the worry in her eyes. "Are you scared?" he asked. Rani hesitated. "Not scared, just careful. Sometimes places look safe, but hide dark secrets." Saif's heart skipped. "What do you mean?" Rani looked down. "I have learned that not all houses are safe. Some have secrets, some people are not who they seem." Saif thought of his own life. The parties, the business deals, the smiles hiding cold hearts. "I will protect you," Saif promised. "But you must tell me everything." Rani looked at Zoya, then back at Saif. "There is one place. I want to show you." That evening, Saif followed the girls through narrow streets. They walked silently until they reached an old building near the edge of town. The building was big but empty. Its windows were broken. The paint was faded and walls cracked. "This is where I grew up," Ronnie said quietly. "The orphanage." Saif looked closer. "Orphanage, but it looks abandoned." "It was," Ronnie said, "but not for long." She stepped inside, her steps echoing in the empty halls. Saif followed, his heart pounding. He saw the dark corners, the broken beds, the walls covered in old scratches. "This place holds memories," Ronnie said softly. "Bad memories." Suddenly, a noise came from upstairs. A door creaked open. Ronnie froze. "Someone is here." Saif's hand moved to his pocket, ready to call for help, but there was no signal. They moved carefully toward the stairs. As they reached the top, a shadow disappeared into a room. Saif and the girls followed quietly. Inside, they found old papers, photos, and maps scattered on a table. Ronnie picked up a photo. It was of a man with a cruel face. "That's the owner," she whispered. "He controlled the orphanage." Saif's eyes narrowed. "What did he do?" Ronnie's voice was low but strong. "He kept kids like us prisoners, used us to make money. No one knew." Saif felt a chill. He realized this was not just a broken building. It was a secret prison. "We must tell the police," Saif said. Ronnie shook her head. "No, they are scared of him. He has power." Saif's mind raced. How could he fight such a man? But he looked at Ronnie and Zoya. They were counting on him. "We will find a way," Saif said firmly. Together, as they left the building, Saif felt a new fire inside. This was more than a rescue. It was a fight for justice. Saif stood outside, the old orphanage, watching the sun set behind the broken windows. The shadows grew longer, just like the secrets this place held. His mind was full of questions, but one thing was clear. He had to protect Ronnie and Zoya no matter what. Back at the small room, Saif looked at the two girls. Their faces were tired but hopeful. He wanted to give them a better life. A life without fear. "I will take you both to my house tomorrow," Saif said softly. "A fresh start, no more hiding." Ronnie looked at him carefully. "Are you sure? Will it be safe?" Saif nodded. "I promise. No one will hurt you there." Zoya smiled shyly. "A home, like a dream." Saif smiled back, but inside he knew the real test was yet to come. The next morning, Saif rented a car and helped the girls into the back seat. They looked out the window at the city passing by. Tall buildings, bright lights, and busy streets. It was a world very different from theirs. When they reached Saif's house, the girls gasped. It was big, clean, and full of light. "Welcome home," Saif said with a warm smile. But as they stepped inside, a quiet tension filled the air. The girls looked around, still unsure if this was really safe. That night, Saif sat alone in his study, thinking about the orphanage owner, the man who had hurt so many children. Saif knew he could not let that man continue. The next day, Saif made a decision. He would fight for Ronnie and Zoya, and for all the children trapped by that cruel man. He called his lawyer and started to gather evidence. He wanted to bring the orphanage owner to justice, but danger was closer than he thought. Late one evening, Saif heard a knock on his door. He opened it slowly and saw a shadowy figure standing outside. "Who are you?" Saif asked, his voice steady but wary. The man smiled coldly. "I'm someone who wants to help you, or maybe stop you." Saif's heart raced. He knew this was a warning, but he did not back down. He looked at the man and said firmly, "I will protect those girls, and I will stop you." The man laughed. Softly, "We'll see." As the door closed, Saif felt a new strength inside. He was no longer alone. Ronnie and Zoya were counting on him, and he would keep his promise. The days after the warning were tense. Saif felt the danger in every shadow. His phone buzzed with strange calls, and unknown faces watched his every move. But his promise to Ronnie and Zoya was stronger than fear. One morning, Saif took the girls to his lawyer's office. "We are starting a case," Saif said firmly. The orphanage owner will pay for what he did. Ronnie looked nervous but hopeful. Zoya held Saif's hand tightly. Thank you, she whispered. But Saif knew this fight would not be easy. At night, Saif often woke up to noises outside his house, footsteps, whispers, and the feeling that someone was watching. One evening, as Saif was leaving his house, a black car stopped suddenly in front of him. Two men stepped out. Leave this alone, Saif, one man warned, voice low and threatening. Saif stood tall, his heart pounding but his voice steady. No, I will not stop. The girls deserve justice. The men looked angry but left without a word. Saif knew the fight was becoming dangerous. But he was ready. He spent days collecting proof, old records, hidden documents, and secret testimonies from other children. One afternoon, Saif brought the evidence to the police. Please act, he said. Save these children. Slowly, the police began to investigate. Meanwhile, Saif's home became a safe haven for Ronnie and Zoya. He enrolled them in school and found a doctor to check their health. The girls began to smile more, feeling hope grow inside. But one night, Saif heard a scream from the girls' room. He rushed inside to find Ronnie crying, clutching a letter. The letter was a threat, a warning to stop the case or face harm. Saif held Ronnie close. We will not be scared, he said firmly. Zoya nodded. We are stronger together. The next day, Saif called a meeting with the police and lawyers. We will fight, he said, no matter what. The fight for justice had begun, and Saif, Ronnie, and Zoya were ready. The courtroom was packed. Everyone was waiting for the truth to come out. Saif sat beside Ronnie and Zoya, holding their hands tightly. This was the moment they had waited for, a chance to end the nightmare. The lawyer spoke clearly, showing the evidence against the orphanage owner. Old records, photos, and testimonies painted a dark picture. The judge listened carefully. Ronnie and Zoya watched nervously as the owner entered the room. His face was cold, but there was fear in his eyes. When it was time for Ronnie to speak, she stood tall. Her voice was strong but soft. I was a prisoner there, she said. I was scared, but I escaped. I want no other child to suffer like me. Zoya nodded beside her. We want freedom. We want hope. Saif looked at the girls proudly. They had found courage inside themselves, a courage that even he had never seen. The trial lasted days. The orphanage owner tried to lie and deny everything. But the truth was too strong. Finally, the judge gave the decision. The owner was guilty and would face punishment. A wave of relief washed over Saif, Ronnie, and Zoya. Justice had been served. After the trial, Saif took the girls back to his house. The sun was shining brightly and the air felt fresh. This is our new beginning, Saif said with a smile. No more fear, no more hiding. Ronnie smiled, feeling free for the first time in years. Zoya hugged Saif. Thank you for believing us. Saif looked at them and knew his life had changed too. From that day forward, Saif promised to help many more children like Ronnie and Zoya. Together, they would create a future full of hope and love. The darkness of the past was gone. New light had started to shine.